Subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon, to never miss a video from us.
Hello and welcome to the Expert Interview Series. And today, we are delighted to welcome Ms. Poornima Sharma, a dedicated soul alignment coach who embarked on her spiritual awakening journey 2 years ago. Since then, she has explored and practiced quantum healing, shamanism, Lemurian wisdom, sacred geometry, astrological studies, chakra meditation, and more. Her journey of self-healing has also involved balancing her body through food, yoga, herbs, sound healing, acupuncture, and especially mudras. Through her diverse experience, Poornima realized her natural gifts and since then dedicated herself to developing her craft, driven by the profound joy and inspiration she finds in healing herself and her extended community. Welcome to the Expert Interview Series, Poornima, and hope our viewers get to learn from your experiences.
Thank you very much, Pooja. Thank you.
Right. So before we begin, the first and the foremost question that comes to our mind is, how did you initially begin your journey into meditation and self-healing?
So my journey was quite a Bollywoody one. It was nothing like I had ever imagined for myself. I had not even an imagination that I would transform into this. But then there was something that was happening to me all throughout my life, like ever since I was a child. Like, to give you some preview, ever since I hit my 5th standard, I guess, like from the age of 10-year-old, I think my life had hit a certain treadmill, and the treadmill sort of never stopped. It only picked up the pace. And this journey had all sorts of flavors and experiences in it. It was all sorts of difficulty. Then the difficulties were on the lines of health, on the lines of a lot of experiences, tragedies and stuff. It was through this journey that even as a child, I think I had gotten a good exposure to astrology, astrologers, and many astrologers said that, and then many opinions said that, and then a lot of hows and whys of the world as to how things happen and why things happen kind of wisdom. I think I was developing this wisdom as a child. This was growing, this was happening. And along with this, my journey was also into growing. There were just newer difficulties I was getting into. I think the first time I got a major hit of my life was right when I was in 9th standard. Now, this was a phase where I got disconnected from my studies. I was a brilliant child. I was a good child. But then school became something, it became one of those things where I just had a name enrollment in the school, where I had to practically drop out to engage with the matters of home that needed like urgent solution. And the matters at home were bad in the terms of, how do you say, I mean, money was bad, people were falling apart, and there were threat of life, risk of all stuff, business was bad, there were goons coming my home. We were talking, I was the one at the forefront handling everything because I was the eldest child. I was handling everything. I was handling the business. I was handling myself. I was handling my little sisters. I was handling the emotional brunt that comes with all of this. I think I matured very early because since the pressure was huge, I ended up getting epilepsy very quickly. And then obviously a child knows that you cannot live with the epilepsy. So there came a little phase where I had to go through a lot of doctors, a lot of treatment, and the epilepsy was undiagnosed for a very long time. It was not getting its right treatment. Apparently, it was one of the rare kind of forms of it. And then there came a point where I sort of realized that I have 2 paths right now. Either I could just go the path of medicine that I don't know how is going to shape up my life. And the other path that was very faintly showing up to me, but was showing up to me was the path of yoga, discipline, and the path of, at that time around, I did not know something like this was called healing, but I knew this is called surrendering to the higher power, something on the lines, like a child language, okay? So I practiced that path when like that age, I got very serious with yoga. I stopped my medicine out of nowhere, got very disciplined about my spiritual practices, and I was also struggling with a huge memory loss around that time, and the studies and the emotional thing that happens with all of this, because you're dealing everything all by your own. You don't even know how to speak about this thing to somebody. I was dealing with everything, and these practices were the ones that helped me. That was my first ever experience with healing, I guess. It was a journey wherein all the things were happening on the same side. There were also relationship troubles. There were also the whole thing of making a career, and the whole thing of where your confidence takes a huge hit because you're living a life where you don't know how to explain your life to people. It's just so different, unique, and you're living all by yourself. And I got married only after I felt the conviction that this human being looks like the person I want to spend my life with. Um, the marriage quickly ended. It ended up being the most painful story of my life, like the one that shook me up the most. That was the turning point where, as I sat adamantly and I said I wanted my answers, I think something started responding, something started working out. Out of nowhere, I started somebody who struggled to meditate like all the other human beings do. I, out of nowhere, started meditating anything on the average of 8 to 14 hours a day. I started reading a lot of spiritual books. Like I said, something was happening. Like it's as if somebody just held my finger when it was guiding me. It was not my brain, not my wisdom, just some force out there that was guiding me.
It's a journey full of ups and downs, a lot of troubles that you've gone through, and being on the other side, it's easy to say that things have passed. You know, you passed those things very wisely with a lot of wisdom in it. Yet the journey still continues. There's a lot of learning ahead, uh, and
Yes.
may your healing and the people you heal grow. So, of course, the journey of healing started at a very younger age, as you said. But you've also worked with
Hmm.
corporates. You've worked with brands, top
Yes.
brands. How was the transition? I mean, you switched the corporate job to pursue with spiritual healing as a path. How difficult was the transition?
Like I said, in my case, the story was the catalyst. It was not my decision. It was not something that I studied out of somewhere and a very calculated decision. It was a thing of whim that was happening with me, and it was a number of reasons that the story became itself, not something I had created. So I think out of this experience, the journey, I think a lot of things had started becoming very evident to me. I was changing a lot. I was changing on my um how do I say this? I was changing as a human being. The biggest thing I would say is everything that I'd known about myself was erasing off, and I was learning very new things about me which I hadn't ever known before. And these are things that you don't even know how to put across people generally, in general conversations. So I think a lot of things had become evident to me, as in I knew one thing, that I cannot go back to a place which is so much of bricks and up walls and air conditioner and basically anything away from nature. That one thing was very clear to me. And second thing was very clear to me that I think I cannot go to a place which has. I also became very energy sensitive, uh, as in even as much as some amount of conversations with people gets me tired very easily. But and if I be in a place which is surrounded by so many human beings, so much of rustling around, it becomes very evident that I wouldn't be able to handle my energies, at least right now at this maturity level. I think these are the things that had started becoming very clear to me. Although I was in great places, but something inside me was not restful at all. Something was just jumping inside me, and I would always feel this thing that I'm not at the right place. I did not know what that was. I just knew that I was not at the right place. I thought it was something about role. I thought it was something about the company. I would just keep doing a lot of trial error. I would take a lot of courses. I would try doing a lot of interviews on the side. I was trying everything. But I think through this journey, one more thing that came out clear to me was why the restlessness in all those places, and why for once I feel okay. I think it was the calling thing as well. So I guess the transition didn't happen in the manner as to I decided that this is the path I want to take. It happened in the manner that these are not the things that look like I can do anymore. Hence, looks like I have to get serious with what's showing up to me right now. It was that kind of decision. So it was both easy and difficult. Easy in the sense that since it had become apparent that corporate is not aligning with me anymore, hence easy. But difficult because I had no plan. I had no idea why I will do this. I had no idea what I will do. I mean, there was some amount of idea that I'm going to heal myself, but how is that going to show up? How is that going to look? How I'm going to support myself? How are people going to understand this language, new language that I'm speaking around me? I had no idea at all. Everything was just a huge question mark. I think I just had this light I was seeing. I had no idea about the path. Absolutely no idea about the path. The path just sort of, it's like at every step that I took, the next step showed up. That's how I'll say it.
So decision altogether to switch from leaving the corporate job and moving towards this journey of self-healing and as becoming a soul alignment coach. Of course, people would have questioned your decision. There would have been challenges. How did you overcome them?
It was absolutely difficult. Okay, I mean, it's difficult to say that I had a plan for myself that I'll overcome them in this structured manner. There was just no plan at all. I was just going on the whim. People, especially my family, was questioning me every day, and they were initially for some months. I also tried doing the whole thing of coming back and looking for jobs like that. But then every time I would sit to prepare for the jobs, my body will feel sick. I would feel that something eating me up kind of thing inside me. Since I'm very energy sensitive, every emotion that happens, it shows up in a big battle manner, like it physically shows up. So the churning inside my stomach was very strong. When I said this to my parents that I wasn't very sure as to what I'm going to do, I just said to my parents, I want to rest a bit. And I took my time, and then when I invested all of my time into meditation cluelessly, because like I said, I did not know what I was going to do. About this decision, I mean, I think the biggest difficulty was accepting the truth, which is just so unique and so different than the entire crowd that is going around. And when you suddenly see yourself so apart from the crowd, it is just very difficult, and just very difficult to accept this new truth of yourself. It just gets difficult at a point, but then you look at the larger picture. You keep the game in your mind. You understand why you're doing what you're doing, and since your why is very strong, you come back to it. It just like that. So, like I said, it's both easy and
people
difficult.
Accepting it is first you who has to accept that you need to follow the path. How do you incorporate balancing body elements through food, yoga, and herbs into your daily routine?
For this one, I want to first introduce the concept of body elements. I want to explain a little bit about this. So I think my understanding about body elements is this basic science that all of us speak about, that the entire human creation has happened only out of the 5 elements: the earth, water, sky, air, and fire. But then such a huge population of human beings, all created only out of 5 elements. And still all the human beings behave so uniquely, so differently. It's such a beautiful pattern making and a science in itself that it baffles me. And these 5 elements are the ones which play a major role in making of your personality type. As in the play of these elementals are the ones which will decide if you're going to be ambitious more, emotional more, creative more, assertive more, stuff like that. There's this whole play of these elementals that just decide one, your personality, and obviously hence your life, like your life experiences, which you end up eventually on the large banner you call it destiny. But the play is happening at this basic level. The moment human beings understand this, and you start addressing things at this end, the idea of changing your destiny becomes, it looks feasible. It is feasible, but people, since they don't have the imagination yet, they think it's not feasible. But when you start looking at this picture, the feasibility shows up. Human beings have huge capacity. One among them is you can change almost everything about you that you want. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes patience. Yes, it takes that extra effort, looking different from the crowd, everything. It looks, it's going to be awkward a lot of places, but then it's possible. So I think my idea of playing with the elementals is this, that specifically in my case, I used to be a little too dreamy, a little too emotional. And I realized, I think what's also apparent from the pattern of my life is one thing that I've lacked was stability. That shows up in my personality as well. And that's how you keep experiencing the same pattern of story in your life again and again. And the moment if you decide for yourself that you want to work for stability, and the stability congruent element for you is earth element, the moment you decide that you want to strengthen your earth element, that element starts interacting with you, and that kind of those experiences of stability start getting more and more in your life, and your life looks stable, and you're able to say take decisions from a calmer place rather than from a place of threat or fear or stuff like that. So elementals play a huge role. Now, how do I implement this in my lifestyle, like in daily routine form is, although there are various methods, there are, I'm sure, thousands of methods outside in the world. I work with the basic ones like yoga, qigong, then a lot of food altering, like the food that we eat, different foods resemble different elements. The food also can change the mood of your personality by changing them. Then color therapy, and the ones that is the most profound, just as profound as yoga, is the sound frequency healing and mudras. I think I would equate three of them in the same state, on the same pedestal: the yoga, the sound frequencies, the chakra balancing, and mudras. Now these are all interlinked in their nature, but they are all like profound tools of yours to balance your elements. Now there are various different yoga and different mudras and different chakra balancing exercises you can do to say strengthen or balance different elementals of yours, and hence change the composition of your personality, and hence the way the life experiences show up to you. I would want to talk about the basic science of elementals, like how and why the elementals think. I think the primary thing that I would suggest to a human being to do to say build relationship with a certain element would be to first understand what is the essence of that element, or what is the story of that element. Say if I want to develop the relationship with the earth, the mother earth, I would suggest people going back and reading books about the story of the earth, the story of the journey of the earth, and the qualities that earth as an element carries. And the earth itself is also an entity who has gone through various experiences, evolutionary milestones, and everything. I think when you read about them, when you get curious about things, when you also spend time with the earth, like more and more you increase this interaction, the earth starts responding to you. The very same thing happens with sun. Sun also, as an entity, has its own story, a story of evolution. The essence that sun carries, the things that sun can offer to you, the things that sun can speak to you and guide to you manner. I think the primary thing that I would suggest to a human being would be developing the relationship with these elements. I think you should explore all of them. There's just so much we do not know about these elementals that we are surrounded by. Did you know that if you spend enough time in the wind or air, you get a lot of these fresh ideas, the entrepreneurial ideas? And say if you were on, say, any creative venture of yours, the one element that you want to build relationship would be water. Or if you want to increase your intuition, you want to increase your relationship with water. These elementals they have capacity to bring the supernatural element into you. You just need to get curious like that. Then you just need to start exploring like that.
We're talking about energy of land and all the elements all together. What are some of the misconceptions about energy healing that you encounter?
The biggest misconception, which is the funniest, is people think healing is for people who are sick, who are going through a rough patch, who are not getting right things in their life, and all people who are lost. That's the biggest and funniest misconception. I want to burst a bubble there. So what happens really is, Somehow, by design of things, all the people who are exploring healing are the ones who are spiritually elevated people. They are the ones who get the hit of karma very instantly, and therefore they sort of get the sense very quickly that they need to alter something about them, and they cannot play with the laws of karma, so they tend to get towards healing a little say sooner. It's just how this happens. And the the section of people who are say in the fine job and then fine relationship and money is good and everything, and they're instilling their ego. What they do not know is that they are the ones who are new souls. Just that whatever their good or bad impending karma, the karma thing happens in a cycle. You go through a cycle of bad karma, then or a cycle of good karma, something of that sort. So they don't know that the karma cycle is still impending for them. They don't know what's waiting for them on the other side. It's therefore that the outer illusion keeps them happy in believing that they are in the good place and healing is for the losers, something. It is such the most wrong misconception I wanted to really address. One of the things that one of such saints from the city that I belong to in Bidar has said, once said to me was, people study sciences that are written by somebody else. And what are these sciences? These sciences are the things that are, those scientists have observed something out of the things that are already there. They just put a label to it and we study them and we think we are studying science and we are scientific. This whole structure of bubble is so funny. But then there is so much more that is unexplored, unlooked up into, and the science, as we know, is just such a small amount of area that's figured. There's so much more about life and things that we do not know about, and that, I think it's in that gray area that healing comes in. Just because you have not explored it, it does not become unscientific. Your ignorance does not make it unscientific. The third thing I would like to address, if you are at all keen about the idea of healing and trying healing for yourself, the first thing that you have to have in your mind is the concept of faith. If you have faith, healing works. If you don't have faith, healing might not work for you. And it goes on all the levels. If you really want healing to work for you, the primary thing you should work for is faith. If for say some reason you have lost your faith for a while, try looking for ways, or say sometimes reading books, or maybe reaching out, meeting such people, listening to some stories which reignites that faith for you, or maybe just sitting at a place and being honest with yourself, actually facing your emotions. That also can bring you into the element of coming into the faith. And another thing in the list that is super critical is, people think healing has become such a categorized thing. People think healing is about Reiki, healing is about crystals. What they do not know is healing is really vast. There are thousands of meta courses and sciences out there that people are studying out, and all of them come under the realms of healing. I think for somebody who's really keen into healing themselves, the first thing you should do is look for options that are available there. Do your research, do your due diligence. Healing not necessarily has to be done via another healer. A lot of healing can happen. You can do at your own level. These things that look very small to us, but are really profound in its offering. For example, I'll give you this story wherein the entity called Parvati, when she had become Sati, she had distracted herself completely and she had gone through whole amnesia. She had forgotten herself, and Shiva knew that she had to come to her element for the resurrection of Earth's harmony and everything. And the only tool that Shiva gave to Parvati that healed her from the place of an absolute destruction, of forgetting herself completely, to coming into her element of absolute Devi, the only tool was yoga. She had to do nothing but give herself into the practices of yoga. So there are these several tools of healing that we think that pass our eyes every day, and we don't even know how profound they are, but they're really profound. I think this one of the strongest tools that you can do for yourself is just visualize wherever you are, sitting, standing, in a party, in your bathroom, I don't know, wherever that you are. You just imagine this whole rush of golden light falling onto you. And the more and more your visualization, your faith goes stronger, the more and more golden light will actually heal you. So healing is not really the whole idea of running to healers, spending a lot of money and going confused and everything all the places. There's several things you can do at your own place.
I think you've given a lot of information about self-healing, about different elements, but still, there's a question that comes to my mind, and of course, everybody who's going to view, like somebody who wants to professionally, pursue a career as a healer,
Okay.
how should they prepare themselves, and what are the opportunities that are available?
First thing I would want to speak about the thing about healing is, now healing is one of the profession where you do not choose the profession chooses you. It just dawns upon you. So I think that should be the first thing. I mean, if you're just looking to the fancy of it, it's not really fancy like all the other occupations. It has its own hazards, it has its own ugliness, it has its own difficulties and roadblocks and everything. It's just that it's associated with the godliness, so people might fancy it a little bit, which is not true at all. Many options out there. You could start with the basics of books. Then you can explore, like play with a lot of healing modalities that are out there. Some of them you can take up courses. You can go to your healers, mentors, mystic guides. And some of them, I think a lot of them are quite intuitive in nature. You can also just at your place, if you just increase your awareness, if you just increase your observation, you'll realize that a lot of things will start speaking to you. Say, there's this whole science about just the shape of cloud. Say, if you just observe the shape of cloud, it starts guiding you a lot of things, and via that you can learn a lot of things and implement them. So there are these various sciences that, and a lot of these healing sciences are intuitive in nature. So I think the first thing you can do is just work on your intuition and start playing with those sciences. That works. And along the journey, you get guided a lot. Healing is one of those journeys where you do not decide what is that you're going to do. The healing guides you that what is your path, what is your essence. Because as human beings also, such a huge population, but we all come with our own uniqueness. Just because a good bunch of people are doing Reiki, I cannot go run to Reiki and say, I'm a healer now. Your healing statement could look different. People, some healers are expected to do some sort of study. Some healers are expected to do some sort of spiritual innovation. Some healers are only expected to, oh, by the way, did you know you could also write beautiful songs and heal people? Healing does not only have to be about some energy work. You could also be a storyteller or story writer for children's book, and you could still be a healer. The healer, I think the first thing that we need to stop, put a tab onto imagination is how the healer comes in. Like there are various shapes that a healer can come in. And I think the major compass for you should be your intuition. Just keep listening to your intuition, be in tune with your intuition. One more strong suggestion that I'll have is it's very, very, very important to work with your ancestors, no matter which family you're born in. Even if you do not know about your ancestors, even if your parents have forgotten about your ancestors, like wherever you are, if you just pray enough hard, the ancestors start speaking to you. And they are the ones who hold a lot of information about the healing for your family and then the extended healing that you will bring to the earth. So I think it's very necessary that you seek in the support of your ancestors as well. So there's this whole team that works with you. A healer never works alone. That's how I would say a lot of self-belief. Just pave the path on your own wisdom, on your own intuition. But then again, on the outside, there are several courses out there. There are platforms like Udemy out there. I think I've studied a lot of stuff only out of YouTube and books, so I did not have to necessarily go to various courses or healers to say. Along the way, things definitely happen. Just have that faith, like be in that faith that things will show up themselves to you, as in how you need them.
I think you beautifully explained about healing, how one can become a healer. It's the calling that makes you one, and destiny is going to choose the right path for someone, of course. So, a lot of power, a lot of wisdom that you have shared. with all of us, and hopefully people for themselves and as a career as well, they know how to go about it. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the perseverance and the clarity that you brought on the table in front of us uh, about healing, how your journey can be an inspiration for so many who are going to watch this.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for giving me this chance where I could just so candidly speak about my story. And trust me, this is the first time I've done this. I'm just glad that if this message just reaches some people and the clarity seeps in and the inspiration starts looking much easier than what they thought for themselves, that'll be my win. That's all that I want out of this message sharing that I have.
Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss a video from us.